Welcome to Local Edition. I'm Brad Pomerance in San Diego County today, and we are joined by a member of the California State Senate that represents significant portions of San Diego County. His name is Joel Anderson, and 'tis the season, and as a result, you are having your annual holiday legislative open house. It is quite the shindig, sir. You've had it every year for several years. This year, Wednesday, December 7th, at Toyota of El Cajon in, of course, El Cajon, California. Talk to us about this event and why you hold it and why it's so darn successful.
Well, it's really important that my constituents have access to me. So every year we've had this legislative open house. This is our 10th year. It started in my office and we had 384 people show up. I know because we took 384 photos.
Fantastic.
Within 3 years we had over 1,700 people showing up. We outgrew every location in my district. And Greg and Gary Kaminsky, who own Toyota of El Cajon, were kind enough to open up their showroom. It's about 30,000 square feet.
Just fantastic.
Last year we had over 4,000 people show up, and it's a great way for the community to network, to meet me, but there's a lot of great functions that we do there. Like we'll have a table from the controller's office, and we look up, the controller has almost $2 billion of taxpayers' money.
Can I tell you, a few years ago, Jimmy Gomez, Assemblyman Jimmy Gomez, came in for an interview, and he says, "I got a surprise for you." And he pulls out a check. It was a big fake check, and he had found some unclaimed money of mine in the controller's account. And
well,
so please.
Let me just tell you, if I had looked it up, it would have been a real check.
Oh, I got it later, but continue.
Yeah. No, of course. That was really great, Jimmy. That's very smart.
Yeah.
So we do that for all our constituents. So they just come up and they can go to the table, and we will look them up and make sure that they get their money returned to them, because it's important that we make government work for the people. The second thing is we do a lot of constituent work. A lot of people in the district don't realize that we are your ombudsman. So if you ever have a problem with the DMV or the Franchise Tax Board, I'm here to fight for you. And so we have a table set up to do that.
And what's also great about having instant access to your staff is, look, there may be a Social Security issue. That's not an issue in the state's purview, and that's okay, but you know how to get that person to the right person.
Absolutely.
So you're still a conduit for any challenge a constituent may have.
And most of the mayors and city council members in my district are all at the event. So a lot of times I can just say, "Hey, Bill Wells, the mayor of El Cajon, come on over here. Let me introduce you to one of your constituents who has a problem with El Cajon."
And another function of yours that I think is just phenomenal is, I'll just call it, you have a booth maybe where someone could provide a legislative idea. There ought to be a law.
Well, that's our largest. We have, I have over 100 interns working this event.
Wow.
And so it's all volunteerism. And, Parkway Plaza, which is near, always donates a bunch of parking spaces. We have 6 shuttle vans that deliver people from the parking. And that's all run by volunteers and interns primarily. And so we have a wall of several tables. I think last year we had 11 interns collecting bill ideas. We collected almost 700 bill ideas. Now we will distill that down to just a handful, no more than 10 bills, and we generally run them. And in past years, we've had a lot of success in passing these bills into law.
Give us one, and it goes back to the controller's office, because I've spoken with Controller Betty Yee, and I didn't realize that Joel Anderson was the impetus.
Yeah, well, absolutely.
Yeah.
So we've had several really great ones. One, a neighbor in La Mesa came in and said, we used to have a program in California where if you were a senior and you fell behind on your local taxes on your house, the controller would pay those taxes for you, and then when you went to sell the house, they would collect that money. But that way the senior never feared losing their home or getting delinquent notices, and you didn't have a bunch of fines accruing against your home because you couldn't make that commitment. So fortunately, Betty's on it right now working, but that was one of the laws that we reinstated and put that program back to work, and it came from a La Mesa constituent. We had one that pointed out that we had 6 Tuskegee Airmen living in my district.
Oh, wow.
And so while they were still alive, we wanted to honor them. So there's a stretch of I-15 along Miramar Air Base named Tuskegee Airmen Highway.
Oh, my.
And that was a constituent. I had no idea these great men lived in our district. And when you think about the Tuskegee Airmen, they were serving our country under Jim Crow laws 20 years prior to Martin Luther King speaking on the Lincoln Memorial with his I Have a Dream speech. So, these men didn't enjoy all the freedoms that they were fighting for all of us to have. And so to honor them was so important to me. And I had no idea until a constituent brought it to our attention.
Brilliant.
We had, I'll give you one.
Please, I love it.
We had a constituent who found that some people had honorary badges.
Oh, I know this, Bill. Keep going.
And they were misusing the honorary badges. So in the case of someone who receives an honorary badge,
Sure, like a sheriff's badge or something.
it could be any honorary badge. But a lot of times when you're a large enough donor, people will give you an honorary badge as a memento. Well, some people give awards in that, it makes sense to give an award that's a badge. And most people would never use that honorary badge as if it's a real badge. But yet we had incidences where people did. And so this was one of the constituents' idea to if that occurs, they would forfeit that badge.
So you also, at this event every year, will give an update on some of the bills that you
Sure.
had passed, either a legislative idea from a constituent or otherwise. And I want to talk about two of them. And in both cases, you as a Republican worked with your Democratic friends to push the bill forward, as it should be, if I may say.
Well, let me just start off by saying that every Democrat is my friend. So
Well stated.
I don't work with anybody in the legislature that I don't have a great friendship with. They're hardworking people. They're laser focused on delivering for their communities, and we share that bond, even though that we might be on the opposite side of the aisle.
So one of them, you partnered with a senator from San Francisco, Mark Leno,
Right.
and it dealt with our cell phones. And I read about this, and so really dig deep because it is a great issue that you uncovered.
Last month, I was in San Francisco with Mark collecting a Legislator Year Award from the Electronic Frontier Foundation.
I know the foundation.
Because we set the bar nationally for others to follow.
Right.
And what essentially is the concept is, if you had a computer at home and law enforcement wanted to search that computer, they'd have to get a warrant. They would have to observe your Fourth Amendment rights. Our cell phones now are handheld computers. They run our whole life.
Can I tell you, I heard on television at some point that our cell phone is more powerful than the computers that went to the moon?
Yeah, that's right. It's absolutely right. I took my kids to Orlando.
Right.
We went over to Cape Canaveral. We saw all the old rooms, and it was a room full of computers, and my phone was way more powerful.
Right. So what happens then, sir? You get pulled over, and you got your cell phone.
Right.
What happened before your legislation? What would the police be able to do?
Anybody would be allowed to force you to open your phone so they may inspect it. Well, look, I want to stop criminals. And if you see me committing a crime, absolutely, that's probable cause. You have every right.
Exigent circumstances.
But without probable cause, then you need a warrant. Because my privacy is important, your privacy is important, and our whole life is on it, and nobody should have access to it. And then, you saw in some instances where people were doing some nefarious things, like if you had some naked photos, they were sending them back and sending them around without your permission.
Revenge porn, right.
Right. And all that was geared to the fact that we were ignoring these phones as the computers they are.
Right.
And so all we did was align your Fourth Amendment rights and update them.
His name is Joel Anderson. He is a member of the California State Senate. If you live in San Diego County and he's your member or not, come to the holiday party on December 7th at Toyota of El Cajon. I'm Brad Pomerance. It's Local Edition.